America's story is a tapestry of triumph, tribulation, innovation, and injustice. It spans centuries, embracing many voices and perspectives. From ancient civilizations to a modern superpower, the U.S. is dynamic and ever-changing. Our journey begins long before European explorers, in a time when diverse indigenous cultures thrived across North America. The arrival of Europeans in the 15th century altered American history. Exploration transformed into colonization as European powers vied for control. The clash of cultures and the struggle for freedom formed the intricate tapestry of American history.
Long before European ships, a continent teeming with life and culture thrived. Native American societies flourished, crafting intricate social structures and belief systems. Their stories etched into the land. From the deserts of the Southwest to the forests of the East, they mastered diverse environments.
The eastern woodlands were home to a rich tapestry of cultures. The Iroquois Confederacy developed a sophisticated system of governance. Their longhouses symbolized unity and cooperation.
Agriculture played a pivotal role in Native American societies. The Three Sisters, corn, beans, and squash, were foundational. Trade routes connected these diverse cultures. Echoes in the earth legacies of the first Americans.
The legacy of the first Americans resonates across the continent. Their languages, stories, and traditions are woven into American culture.
From town names to foods and medicines, their influence is everywhere.
Through art, music, and storytelling, they ensure their ancestors' voices are heard.
Their resilience stands as a testament to the strength of the human spirit.
Across the Atlantic seeds of a new world.
The 17th century marked a turning point in North American history. For England, the establishment of Jamestown in 1607 marked the beginning of its colonial enterprise.
The colonists struggled for survival in harsh conditions. Despite hardships, Jamestown endured, fueled by tobacco cultivation. A clash of cultures, collision and exchange on a new frontier.
European colonists profoundly impacted indigenous populations. Initial interactions were marked by cautious cooperation. Colonists' pursuit of land clashed with Native American life.
Despite tensions, cultural exchange occurred. Trade became a significant interaction point.
European diseases ravaged indigenous populations.
Displacement and loss shaped the new frontier. By the mid-18th century, the 13 colonies had developed into thriving societies. The colonists had grown accustomed to self-governance. However, this autonomy was challenged by events across the Atlantic.
The 7 Years' War had significant ramifications. The British imposed new taxes to recoup their losses. The Stamp Act of 1765 sparked widespread outrage.
The year 1775 marked a pivotal turning point in the struggle between Great Britain and its 13 colonies. Discontent over taxes ignited a war for independence.
The battles of Lexington and Concord started the American Revolutionary War.
On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. It articulated the colonies' grievances and their right to self-determination. The Revolutionary War raged for 8 years. The Continental Army used guerrilla tactics and strategic retreats.
The Battle of Saratoga in 1777 was a turning point. The victory convinced France to ally with America.
French assistance turned the tide of the war.
The Battle of Yorktown in 1781 marked the final major engagement of the Revolutionary War. British General Cornwallis surrendered, effectively ending the war.
News of the victory spread, igniting celebrations. The Treaty of Paris in 1783 formally recognized American independence.
The American Revolution was a bold experiment in self-governance. The newly formed United States embarked on a path to establish a government based on the consent of the governed.
The victory at Yorktown secured independence, but the battle for self-governance was far from over. The fledgling nation faced the task of forging a new government.
The Articles of Confederation had proven inadequate.
The Founding Fathers convened in Philadelphia in 1787.
They crafted the Constitution, establishing a system of government based on separation of powers. In 1789, George Washington was elected as the first president of the United States. His inauguration marked the early republic.
Washington assembled a cabinet of brilliant minds.
The early years were marked by debates over government roles. Hamilton advocated for a strong central government.
Jefferson favored decentralized government and liberties. These differences reflected American democracy's dynamism.
The dawn of the 19th century heralded immense growth for the United States. One significant event was the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. President Jefferson negotiated the acquisition from France, doubling the nation's size.
This opened up possibilities for westward expansion. The promise of new land spurred families to journey westward.
Pioneers ventured into uncharted territories. They endured harsh weather, treacherous landscapes, and disease. Despite challenges, the westward surge shaped the American frontier. The 19th century witnessed the forced displacement of Native American tribes. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 authorized their relocation.
This led to the infamous Trail of Tears. Several tribes were forced to march to designated Indian territory.
Thousands faced harsh conditions and death. The journey was marked by immense suffering and loss. The 19th century saw the United States plunged into civil conflict. Slavery created an irreconcilable divide.
This tension erupted into the Civil War in 1861. President Lincoln faced preserving the Union.
His leadership was pivotal. The Emancipation Proclamation declared freedom for all slaves in Confederate territory.
The Civil War was fought on numerous fronts. The war wrought immense destruction and loss.
Rebuilding a nation. The promise and pain of reconstruction. The end of the Civil War brought the challenge of rebuilding. The South faced reintegration into the Union.
Reconstruction addressed slavery's legacies. The period saw progress and resistance.
The amendments abolished slavery, granted citizenship and voting rights. The Freedmen's Bureau aided newly freed slaves.
Efforts towards equality faced fierce opposition.
The rise of industry. A nation transformed. The North experienced industrial growth.
The late 19th century transformed the economy. New technologies revolutionized manufacturing and communication.
Factories and mass production transformed cities. Steel mills and textile factories attracted workers.
Industry spurred urbanization and shaped development.
A new century. A new global stage. The 20th century dawned upon a United States rapidly evolving into a global power. The Industrial Revolution continued to reshape the nation, transforming it into an economic powerhouse.
Cities buzzed with energy as factories churned out goods, skyscrapers pierced the sky, and technological innovations promised a future brimming with possibilities. Yet, beneath this progress, social and political currents swirled, hinting at the tumultuous century to come.
The Progressive Era saw a surge in social activism addressing the ills of industrialization and urbanization. Reformers fought for workers' rights, women's suffrage, and greater government regulation of big business.
The outbreak of World War I in 1914 plunged Europe into unprecedented violence. The United States, initially neutral, was drawn into the conflict.
German submarine warfare, including the Lusitania sinking in 1915, inflamed American opinion and pushed the nation closer to war.
In April 1917, the United States declared war on Germany. American troops, dubbed doughboys, helped turn the tide in favor of the Allies.
The war effort mobilized the nation, with industries retooled for wartime production and citizens contributing through Liberty bonds and rationing.
The war ended in November 1918. President Woodrow Wilson envisioned a post-war world order based on collective security and self-determination, proposing the League of Nations. The 1920s, often dubbed the Roaring Twenties, were a time of economic prosperity and cultural dynamism. Jazz music filled the airwaves, flapper dresses challenged social norms, and the stock market soared.
However, this era masked underlying economic weaknesses that would culminate in the Great Depression.
The stock market crash of October 1929, known as Black Tuesday, sent shockwaves through the economy. Banks failed, businesses shuttered, and millions lost their jobs and homes.
Unemployment soared to 25% by 1933.
In 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, promising a New Deal, was elected president. Roosevelt embarked on an ambitious program of government intervention in the economy. The New Deal aimed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. The specter of war loomed large over the 1930s as totalitarian regimes rose to power in Europe and Asia. The United States, grappling with the Great Depression, clung to isolationism, hoping to avoid another European conflict.
The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, shattered the nation's security and propelled it into World War II.
Under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the U.S. mobilized for war. Factories retooled for wartime production, churning out tanks, planes, and ships.
Millions of Americans, including women and minorities, entered the workforce, contributing to the war effort. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War, a decades-long ideological and geopolitical struggle.
The United States emerged as the sole superpower, facing a new world order with both promise and uncertainty. The post-Cold War era presented opportunities for global cooperation and democracy.
President George H.W. Bush envisioned a new world order, with international institutions playing a greater role in promoting peace. Section 2. The Shadow of Terror, September 11th and its Aftermath. The morning of September 11, 2001, forever etched itself into the American consciousness.
The terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon claimed nearly 3,000 lives, shaking the nation. Orchestrated by Al-Qaeda, the attacks exposed U.S. vulnerabilities to a new kind of enemy.
The Bush administration responded swiftly, launching the War on Terror. The U.S. invaded Afghanistan, toppling the Taliban regime. Section 3. Navigating the New Millennium, Economic and Social Change.
The early 21st century was a time of rapid technological advancement, globalization, and economic volatility. The dot-com boom of the late 1990s brought economic prosperity, but ended in a stock market bust in 2000. The housing bubble burst in 2008, triggering the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression.
The election of Barack Obama as the nation's first African-American president in 2008 marked a historic moment.
Obama's presidency saw the passage of the Affordable Care Act and ongoing challenges like the sluggish economic recovery and wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
The 21st century has witnessed a resurgence of social activism, with movements like Black Lives Matter and the climate change movement demanding justice.
These movements, fueled by social media, have challenged traditional power structures and pushed for greater representation.
Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram have transformed communication and engagement.
Social media connects people, but also spreads misinformation and deepens political polarization.
Section 4. A Nation Divided, Political Polarization and the Future of America.
The election of Donald Trump in 2016 exposed deep political and cultural divisions. His presidency, marked by populist rhetoric and America First policies, further polarized the nation. Supporters praised his challenge to the status quo, while detractors criticized his divisive rhetoric and behavior.
The January 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters seeking to overturn the 2020 election results was a shocking event that shook American democracy.
The attack, fueled by misinformation and conspiracy theories, highlighted the fragility of democratic institutions and the dangers of political extremism.
The United States faces challenges in the 21st century: political polarization, economic inequality, climate change, racial injustice, and the rise of authoritarianism. Reflections in the River of Time. The story of America is a winding river, not a straight line. It's a tale of constant motion, currents colliding, calm moments, and rapids of change. From first footprints to skyscrapers, it's a saga of ambition, struggle, innovation, and adaptation. We've seen cultural clashes, the fight for freedom, and the nation's growing pains, the scars of conflict, human resilience, and the power of hope. The American story is a testament to human capacity for great and terrible deeds, progress, and regression. It challenges us to confront our past, learn from mistakes, and cherish our freedoms. The ideals of liberty, equality, and justice are ongoing struggles, requiring vigilance and participation. Section 2. The Unfinished Story. A Nation Still Becoming. The American story is not over. It's still being written every day in the choices we make and the future we envision. The challenges we face today, from political polarization to climate change, are not insurmountable. They are the next chapter in our ongoing narrative, a test of our collective wisdom and courage. The future of America rests on our ability to come together, to listen, and to find common ground. It rests on our willingness to embrace empathy, compassion, and understanding. As we move forward, let us draw strength from the lessons of our past. America's greatest strength lies in its diversity and its belief in hope. The American story is a continuing journey, a testament to the enduring human spirit's quest for a better tomorrow.